Hey everyone, Snoopalax here, and today we're going to check the inner mechanics of the Mario Party series and how you can exploit the mechanics to softlock the game in various ways. I already did a video on this subject where I found a softlock for Mario Party 1, Mario Party 2, and Mario Party 3. If you haven't watched that video, I'd recommend checking out that video before this one. For those of you that don't know what a softlock is, a softlock is an inescapable state in a video game where the game hasn't crashed but it's still running, and the only way to proceed is by resetting the console. I made this tier list chart so we can easily classify each minigame into one of 4 categories. The top section is for games that can be softlocked. For example, the game Plaform Peril, which we went over in the first video, can be softlocked with this method, so it's going to go in that category. The next category we're going to be looking at is the yellow category. And the yellow category is games that contain an invisible softlock timer. Certain mini-games in Mario Party will end after a certain amount of time because a softlock timer was put into place. Bash and Cash is one of these games. Although when the minigame ends, the bounce mechanics change so we can't get the character stuck. But what we can do, using emulator tools, we're able to freeze Mario's Y-axis to keep him frozen in the air. This will help let us know how the minigame actually functions. Using this technique, we can see that when the minigame ends, Mario is pushed away from the other 3 characters, and a softlock timer does exist. Since this game contains a softlock timer, the game automatically ends after 7 seconds. The next minigame is Bombs Away, and at the end of the minigame, the bounce mechanics change. Using the cheat that we were talking about earlier, I was able to freeze Mario in his Y-axis. Since I was able to do this, I found out that this game does not contain a softlock timer. So with perfect positioning, it might be possible to softlock this game. So Bombs Away goes in the doesn't contain softlock timer category. And the last category is minigame ends abruptly. This is when a minigame ends immediately. Bombsketball falls in this category, but another cool thing about Bombsketball is that as soon as the minigame ends, it seems like they try to pull the characters down more. Now that all the tiers are explained, the reason why I'm dividing these minigames into 4 tiers is 1 for data purposes, and 2, a minigame in the yellow category or green category could never really be softlocked. But a minigame that's in the orange category, since we know it doesn't have a softlock timer, these are the minigames that have the potential to be softlocked. Now that that's explained, let's check out the rest of the minigames from Mario Party 1. In Coin Block Blitz, the bounce mechanics change at the end of the minigame. Using the cheat to keep Mario in the air, we can see that this game contains a softlock timer anyways.
Time up!
So this game goes into the contained softlock timer category. The number on the side of these pictures is how many seconds it takes for the softlock timer to kick in. I find it very interesting that these softlock timers vary in time. The next game is Coin Block Blitz, and this game's pretty cool because it's actually really easy to get all the characters stuck. And it's actually kind of cool just seeing all the characters stuck in the corner like that. After 15 seconds though, a softlock timer happens. The next game is Coin Block Bash, and this game is very unique because it contains completely different bounce mechanics from the rest of the minigames. This game also contains a unique property when you freeze a player in the air. It still has some downforce momentum on them. When we freeze a character in place and let him bounce on another character's head, we find out that there is no softlock timer on this game. But getting a softlock on this game seems incredibly unlikely. Grab Bag is going to go in the green category since the minigame ends abruptly. Hammer Drop is another one of those games that just ends when it's done. Keep Away is another game where the bounce mechanics change at the end of the minigame. But Keep Away has some interesting properties. Using a cheat code, ending the minigame when a player is in the air will make the player with the key randomly just go off screen. This minigame does not contain a softlock timer. In Musical Mushroom, the bounce mechanics change as well. And also, in this game, using the cheat to keep a character in the air, there's a softlock timer anyway, so this game would be impossible to softlock.
Time up.
At the end of running of the bulb, the bounce mechanics don't change, but the minigame ends abruptly. Which means it's going in the green category. Next game is Whack-A-Plant, and at the end of the game, Mario bounces towards the middle and the minigame ends. But when we freeze his Y-axis, this game does not contain a softlock timer. The next game we're going to look at is Mario Party 2. The first game I tried was Destruction Derby, and at the end of the game, it pulls the character to a specific spot. Even if you leave the character in the air, the minigame will end when the character reaches their spot. So this minigame doesn't have a softlock timer, and I think it could potentially be softlock if you're able to block a player from getting to their specific spot. Next up is Grab Bag, and Grab Bag is a very unique minigame. For one, the bounce mechanics change at the end of the minigame, and pretty much it only changes because it makes gravity more prominent, so your character will come down a little bit harder. But in Grab Bag, you're still in full control over your character when they're bouncing, so you can choose whatever direction you want to go when you're bouncing in the air after the minigame. But this isn't really a true softlock. You could easily stop yourself from bouncing if you choose a different direction. This minigame does not have a softlock timer, and it has another cool property too. I wasn't able to replicate this, so this is footage from Video Game Player 100. For some reason at the end of the minigame, Donkey Kong kept spinning to try to go into place.
Can't be serious
but after a fair
now.
bit of time, Donkey Kong was set in his final position.
What's going on? I don't like this. What's happening? Oh my gosh, I was afraid I was gonna have to reset there. Oh, that was scary. DK just would not go to position.
The next game is Dizzy Dancing, and at the end of Dizzy Dancing, the bounce mechanics change. And also, using a cheat code to keep Mario in the air, we can see that a softlock timer exists in this game also. In Mario Party 2, Bombs Away is a game too, but the bounce mechanics change at the end of the minigame, but just like in Mario Party 1, there is no softlock timer. The next game is Lava Tile Island, which ends abruptly, so it goes in the green category. Next, I tried softlocking Plaform Peril in Mario Party 2, but this updated version plays differently. It's the first player to cross the finish line first, instead of the first player to touch the ground of the finish line area first. When I froze Mario in the air, the minigame just ended immediately anyways, so this one's going in the green category. Next game is Coffin Congestion, and this is one of the games where you can get softlocked by getting yourself stuck in between two coffins. The next minigame is Roll Out the Barrels, and for this minigame I had a similar idea to Coffin Congestion, where I could get stuck in between two barrels, but I was unable to do so. Using the cheat, I was able to figure out that this minigame does not contain a softlock timer. And the last Mario Party for Nintendo 64, Mario Party 3. The first game we're going to be looking at is All Fired Up, and All Fired Up ends abruptly, so it's going to go in the green category. Next up is Rink Risk, which also ends abruptly. Next up is Coconut Conk, and the bounce mechanics change at the end of the minigame. When the player is frozen in the air, it has some weird, unique properties. For one, it randomly makes the player ground pound, and this minigame definitely has some weird things about it. This game also doesn't contain a softlock timer.
Yoshi!
This clip from Airshock
Yoshi!
22 shows a very
Yoshi!
cool, unique property of this minigame.
Thank you. What? Why am I controlling Peach? What the f— What is happening? I can't do anything. This is a— oh my god, did I softlock the f***ing game? How do you softlock Mario Party? Okay, let me try and hit Waluigi again. Maybe that's what I need to do. What? Someone please clip all of that. I'm not Peach, by the way. I am Luigi.
As you can see, for some strange reason, Airshock 22 was able to control the computer player after the minigame ended. And if we could find out how to replicate this, this should make softlocking this game relatively easy. Since it doesn't have a softlock timer, if we could make a setup where we had a player bouncing in the air and we were able to control the computer player, we could move the computer player in a way to keep the character bouncing until it gets to on top of another character at the end. So in my opinion, this game and Grab Bag from Mario Party 2 have the highest potential to be softlocked out of all the games that we've looked at. Next up is Foul Play, and Foul Play is very interesting because it doesn't contain bounce mechanics. Even if you could end the game with a player in the air, the game ends abruptly, so it goes in the green category. Title Toss is another minigame that doesn't contain bounce mechanics. But even if we were able to get a character stuck in the air, it wouldn't matter because the minigame would end immediately, placing it in the green category. The next game is Toadstool Titan, and we can get the character stuck pretty easily because of the blocks, but the game ends immediately anyways after the game's over, so it goes in the green category. In the game Treadmill Grill, the bounce mechanics don't change, but the game ends immediately, so it goes in the green category. In Baby Bowser Bonkers, there's no bounce mechanics similar to Foul Play. And just like Foul Play, if you end the game with a character in the air, it'll just end immediately, placing it in the green category. And the last minigame we're going to be looking at is Bounce and Trounce, the last minigame that can be soft-locked. Although I couldn't find another softlock in this video, I was able to find a bunch of extra information about all these minigames, and definitely some potential strategies that could work for softlocking other minigames in the future. I just find it crazy how all these minigames can end in a different way, or even about how every single softlock timer is different. I have also been working on softlocking Mario Parties 4 to 7 for GameCube, so that should be another video that will be coming up hopefully within the next couple months. Thank you guys so much for checking out this video. If you could like or maybe even subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. It really helps grow the channel, and I hope you guys all have a wonderful day.